I'm Jim Kircher. One of the things I keep handy around the house is a book of common Missouri birds, and by now I know the usual suspects, the ones that come to the feeder outside the window. But there are plenty more out there if you're willing to get out of your own yard and visit different places at different times of the year. And that's what we did. We joined a few dedicated bird enthusiasts on a very cold morning. About a half hour north of St. Louis, on the Missouri side of the Clark Bridge, you find the Audubon Center at Riverlands. It's home to a lot of birds, including the largest overwintering population of trumpeter swans in the Midwest.
So on Heron Pond here we have several trumpeter swans, and so these birds typically, their pattern here, they'll roost on the water at night where it's safe.
In the late 1800s, early 1900s, the trumpeter swans were nearly wiped out by hunting and the decline of wetlands. But about 40 years ago, there was a big push to restore the Midwest population. So swans from Alaska were relocated here, they were raised and then released on the Mississippi Flyway.
In the early 1990s, the very first trumpeter swans arrived here in the sanctuary, and I believe there were 5 initially that arrived. So over time, that small population built up from 5 to the early 2000s. We were getting closer to 100 birds.
Now, in this past wintering season, the Audubon Center reached its highest number of trumpeter swans at about 1,200. Throughout the year, hundreds of different species of songbirds and waterfowl migrate to the Riverlands. And that's why birds are not the only visitors the Riverlands gets.
We attract a huge number of visitors each year. I think the Audubon Center and the sanctuary here, we get about 50,000 visitors a year just to see trumpeter swans and eagles and all the migratory birds.
We've read a lot about them, always wanted to come and look at them. Always seems we decide to come in late spring when they're already gone. My brother came in from Atlanta, he wanted to do something different, so he said, let's go. It's a great place. Sorry, I just saw some birds.
This is an extremely unique place. Many bird species migrate here, which I don't think that people in this area realize. So I'm from Alton, and before I came to the center for the first time, I didn't know it was here. I didn't know that one of the main focuses of the center is the trumpeter swans.
The swans typically arrive around the last week of October or first week of November. They'll start in kind of low numbers, and that builds through Thanksgiving and into Christmas. The peak usually occurs between Christmas and the second week of January, and then typically around the first or second week of February, depending on weather conditions, they start the migration back north. A lot of times migration is kind of tied to a resource. Some birds will, if a resource is more abundant in another area, that can kind of trigger a migratory behavior. Some birds will use physical features to guide their migratory pathways. If you think of the Mississippi Flyway as this kind of braided highway system for migration, for kind of funneling birds through our area to the Gulf.
This is about as far south as the trumpeter swans go. It usually takes them about 30 days to get here from their nesting ground in Wisconsin. They stay for a while and then head back north in late winter. About 40% of all North American migrating birds use the Mississippi Flyway. It's a mountain-free north-south route, and it's the available food and open water where they won't be disturbed much by humans that keep the trumpeter swans coming back year after year.